Hi everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we are diving into the AZEK company, but fair warning, things might get a little acquired. If that pun didn't land, well, the details in this filing about the AZEK company's recent changes definitely will. So the big news is that AZEK, a company known for making outdoor building products, has been bought by James Hardie Industries. This filing is basically the mission accomplished report on that deal, outlining how it all went down and what it means for shareholders and the company's future. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below for deeper discussions on these topics. Right off the bat, we see this Form 8K is all about the completion of the merger agreement between the AZEK company, James Hardie Industries, which we'll call JHX from now on, and a subsidiary of JHX called Juno Merger Sub. Think of Juno Merger Sub as a temporary player created just to make the deal happen. The main event is the merger itself. On July 1, 2025, Merger Sub did its job. It merged with AZEK, and AZEK became a wholly owned part, meaning fully owned by JHX. It's like one company getting swallowed up by another, but in this case, AZEK continues on, only now it's under new management. Here's what every investor cares about. What happens to their shares? If you owned AZEK stock, each share you held was converted into the right to get $26.45 in cash, plus a portion of a share of JHX, specifically 1.034 area ordinary shares, plus a tiny bit of cash to make up for any fractional shares you might end up with. Since you can't really own part of a share, the total amount they got is the merger consideration. Now, what about AZEK's employees who had stock options or restricted stock units called RSUs? Here's where it gets a bit technical, but we'll break it down. If you were a non-employee director, any RSUs you had fully vested, meaning you got all the shares immediately, and they were cashed out as part of the merger deal. Other employees' RSUs were converted into awards in JHX. This means they got both new JHX stock awards and cash awards. These new awards generally have the same conditions as the old ones, including the same vesting schedules, which is great for the employees. Vesting is when you actually get full ownership of the awards over time. For performance-based stock units, or PSUs, which depend on how well the company performs, JHX also took those over. The value was determined by looking at past performance for some years and target performance for future years. Target performance is what the company aims to achieve. Again, employees wound up getting both stock and cash awards in the new company. What about regular stock options? If you were a non-employee director or former employee, your options were cashed out, meaning you got the difference between the merger price and what you would have paid to exercise the options. Other employees had their AZEK options converted into options to buy JHX stock with an adjusted exercise price. All of the new JHX shares issued were registered with the SEC, so everything was above board and legal. You can find more details about this in the registration statement. Moving on, AZEK had a credit agreement, which is basically a loan deal, and as part of the merger they paid back all the loans and ended the agreement, which is great to see and is pretty standard stuff. This section is a formality just confirming that the acquisition, the buying of the company, is now complete. Because AZEK is now part of JHX, its stock is no longer traded separately. The company told the New York Stock Exchange, or NICE, to delist the stock, meaning to remove it from the exchange and to deregister it with the SEC. This is normal when a company gets acquired. This section explains that shareholders, those who own stock in AZEK, no longer have the same rights. Instead of owning AZEK stock, they now have the right to receive the merger money and JH stock that we talked about earlier. This simply states that the company has changed hands. JH now controls AZEK. As part of the deal, the previous board of directors of AZEK stepped down, although three of them, Howard Heckes, Gary Hendrickson and Jesse Singh, were appointed to the board of directors of JHX. This ensures a good transition and some continuity while not leaving prior leadership empty-handed. There were also changes to AZEK's official documents like its certificate of incorporation and bylaws. These documents were updated to reflect the new ownership structure. Finally, the company issued a press release announcing that the merger was complete. This is just a public announcement of the news. Alright, let's talk about the big picture. AJS's acquisition of AZEK looks like a strategic move to strengthen its position in the building products industry. For AZEK, becoming part of a larger company like JHX could provide access to more resources, wider markets, and greater stability. However, there are always risks in mergers. Integrating two different companies can be challenging, and there's no guarantee that the expected benefits will fully materialize. It will be critical for JHX to ensure that the integration process is managed smoothly to avoid disruptions and to maximize synergies. In other words, they need to make sure this combination adds up to more than the sum of its parts. Overall, this deal appears to be a positive development for both companies. It offers AZEK shareholders a good return on their investment, and it gives JHX a stronger foothold in the market. Only time will tell how the combined entity performs, but the initial signs look promising. Alright, that's our breakdown of AZEK's final act as an independent company. What do you think about this acquisition and what it means for the future of building products? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button would really help. If you haven't already, subscribe for more deep dives into corporate filings. Also, don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more discussion. Thanks for watching and see you next time.